Day 2 of rewiring this boat. I ended up buying a bus system for the customer. We got a negative here, we got a positive right here. It's really kind of simple. There's a little plastic cover that goes over them. Has a bunch of little areas where it can actually screw down to. Came with a bunch of the connectors and stuff, so that's nice. One spot for the battery on both sides. I'm gonna put this up underneath the boat so that way it's out of the way, but it's going to be short distance to the actual switch panel. Sorry, had to think about that for a second. We do have the switch panel. I did test all the switches. They all do work, so everything's good on that. We're going to put that one back in. I'm not going to order any switches or anything like that for it. We got the nav lights that we got to wire up in front. We're going to drill a hole back here for the anchor light. We're going to put that pretty much here, get that in there for him, and then we are also going to be hooking up the horn and the bilge pump, and then that's going to be it for this boat. He'll be getting it back and he'll be doing the rest of the work himself. So let's get to it. I don't have a hook to feed this wire through, so I came up with a couple ratchet extensions, having an Allen key on the very end of it. Hopefully that'll grab the line and I can pull it up. Look at that. Worked like a dream. Alright, so we got this side that's the negative. This one's just going to connect straight to the canvas system, or the bus, whatever. I don't even know what they're called. Alright, this side's the negative side. This is just going to connect directly to it. The positive side is actually going to go into the switch, and that is what is going to be actually triggering for it. And then there's just going to be a straight wire from the positive that'll lead all the way to the switch, and that's how it's going to get its power. It's really simple. They worked. So nav lights are done. We're going to work on the bilge next. I just got to find the wire that I ran. I hope I didn't accidentally pull it back through. Guess I did pull it through, so we'll just re-push it through. So kind of the same process. Gonna add a little circle ring to the negative side. I'm gonna add a flat clip so that way it plugs into the back of the bilge, and then we'll run a little small power strip just like I did for the first one, and then that'll be for the bilge. And then I'll have to wire the bilge and stuff in the back. I haven't done that yet. We're gonna move back here for just a minute. So that's the bilge. So what we got to do, we actually got to take that bilge out and put the new one in. I don't know if that old one works or not. I just found the new one. I asked him, he said yeah, put the new one in and throw the other one away. So we're gonna figure out about that. All right, we got the new bilge pump right here. I have the wires ran more towards the back. I'm gonna set those up right now and make sure that I got power to it before I actually mount it to the back of the boat. Since this is the bilge and the water pump's going to be there, I'm going to use a little bit different connectors. They are heat shrink connectors. The other connectors I'm using are watertight, just these are a little bit different. They have solder in the middle of them, and then they have this little blue like wax stuff, so whenever you heat it up it actually creates a better seal, and this holds it more together. Obviously we want, you know, more strength in the bilge pump area, so I'm going to do that real quick. So this little bilge actually has a automatic float built inside of it. So there's 3 wires. You got the main power wire, then you have the switch power, and then you also have the negative. Alright, so I had it backwards. Well, this is why we also test things. The negative actually came unplugged from the battery and was not working. So the black and the white is for constant power. So that way, if it ever fills up, it automatically turns on. Whereas the brown one is the main power for the switch. And that is exactly why I like to test them before I solder them. I don't know if you can see the solder in the middle melting and collecting on all the wires. That's going to make sure we got a very good tight connection. Everything else you can see is kind of all together. Comes out a little bit like this. You can see how there's solder that's all the way up on them. So, and then it's a strong tight fit, and then you don't have to worry about it. Hey, Mama. I think my camera keeps overheating, but if you can see, I got the positive and negative in there. They're up there. I'm gonna clean up these wires real quick, and then that'll be it for the day. All right, time to get the old bilge pump out. Once I get the old one out, I'll be able to run the wires for the new one, get that in there, and then we'll call it a day on this one and be done. Well guys, I was having some camera issues, so I didn't get a little bit of the footage, but she's all done. I left all the old wiring for the gauges and everything up top. He wasn't too worried about that. I cleaned up underneath the best I could. Again, there's wires for the cluster and all that stuff that's hanging down. But other than that, she's all good to go. Got the bilge working. Unfortunately, the horn doesn't work. There is no aerator for the boat, so we're not worried about hooking up an aerator. We did hook up the bow lights. He does have pod lights up front, but he wasn't too worried about that, so I didn't really worry about it. And then just put in the new bilge form. Got that all in there, so we're all good to go and gonna send this one down the road. Thank you for watching.